So, Alice in Wonderland from 1951, directed by a trio of directors, Clyde Geronimi, I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correct, Wilfred Jackson and Hamilton Laskew, who are all three of those men worked on Cinderella, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, and 101 Dalmatians is their filmography and body of work. This movie is based on both Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass, by author Lewis Carroll. This film features the voice talents of Catherine Beaumont as Alice, Ed Wynn as the Mad Hatter, Richard Hayden as the Caterpillar, Sterling Holloway as the Cheshire Cat, and Verna Felton as the Queen of Hearts. A quick synopsis of our film. A young girl named Alice follows a talking white rabbit down a rabbit hole and finds herself in the nonsensical world of Wonderland, where she continues to chase the white rabbit and meets strange characters, including a Mad Hatter, a smiling Cheshire Cat, twins by the name of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and the loud, vengeful Queen of Hearts. This film was released on September the 14th, 1951, made on a budget of $3 million at the time, and sadly lost money at the initial box office, making $2.4 million, but like Christian said, upon its 1974 re-release, made $3.5 million at the box office. This movie did receive one Oscar nomination for Best Original Score, and it didn't win, but 2026, this year, marks the 75th anniversary of this movie, and it has just been remastered on 4K Ultra HD, which is not only going to be uploaded to Disney Plus, where you can watch this, but just released on physical media, because we here at that Old Gay Classic Cinema love us some physical media.
We sure do. My gosh, I actually had the pleasure of watching it in 4K because I have it on Apple and they auto update it for you. So I was like,
Oh,
thank
that's
God I didn't have to pay extra to actually watch this film. They just gave it, they just put it there. I was like, okay, thank you.
that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Let me tell you, this 4K looks amazing. They did such precise work with it. Much so what they did with Snow White, Cinderella. Alice is like, funny enough, Alice was actually Disney's third leading lady, if you can imagine.
Yes.
Um actually when I was growing up, I had the VHS clamshell
Oh,
edition. And at the end, it's like, stay tuned for this and that. And it had the Operation Wonderland biography or documentary, as
ooh,
well as the excerpt from the Fred Waring show, which is one of my favorite little excerpts that they put in there as an extra. But I actually found out while we watching it that yeah, this is actually Disney's third leading lady, and I'm just like, this is really cool that this is this. But well, before we get into that, this was not Disney's first attempt at Alice in Wonderland. When he was doing his silent movie era, he
yes.
did Alice's Adventures, which starred what was her name again? I'm sure you know this, Luke, because I know you did a lot of notes on this.
The Yes, that was back in 1923, which is crazy.
Hmm.
He made it back in Kansas City, Missouri, which is where
Yep.
Disney is from, and it was Virginia Davis
Yep.
who was doing Alice, and then um, he later went on to do the Alice comedies, also
Hmm.
starring Virginia Davis, which was, I mean, predating like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Mary Poppins, but like doing live
This
action
was his first attempt at live action
with
animation
with 2D
combined.
animation combined with live
Yep.
action actors, which is incredible.
Stellar.
And it's actually it was before Snow White,
Hmm.
which we reviewed with our friend Angela, that Disney wanted to do a proper feature with Mary Pickford as Alice, as a live
Yep.
action Alice. But that film never got off the ground. It only made it to, I think, some like color test pictures before Disney shifted his focus to doing Snow White. Because also Disney struggled for years to try to make a cohesive script for a movie. And it's because, like we said, of that episodic nature that it is so challenging. Um, and I think that that's what ultimately like has made this film so different than other Disney narratives, like other fairy tale adaptations where you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You have a protagonist, you may have a love interest, you definitely have an antagonist. But with Alice, it's more, I think, like you said, whimsical because
Hmm.
each episode that Alice finds herself in, like each chapter in a book, is like more insanity and more kookiness. And I love the fact that you brought up your childhood VHS copy because I also had a VHS copy of Alice when I was growing up. It was one of the few Disney movies that I had on VHS that I watched over and over again. Um, and I am just going to say this because I have this in my section of what appeals to me about this movie. But I will say that after the Disney Renaissance, which was from 89 to 99, I think that Disney's Silver Age, which is from 1950 to 1967, is probably the second best animation era for Disney. And
I
Alice
agree.
was the second film because Cinderella kicked off the Silver Age, and then we have
Mhm.
everything from Peter Pan to Lady and the Tramp, and you would have the Jungle Book and 101 Dalmatians, and just all of those wonderful, like opulent, colorful films. And we'll talk about it later, but it's like these films almost didn't happen because Disney was in the
Yeah.
red in the 40s because of World War II. And had Cinderella not been the juggernaut success that it was, the animation studio would have folded.
Yeah.
But thankfully it didn't, and thankfully Alice has not only become such an iconic film, but such a staple in the Disney parks as well. Out here in Anaheim, we've got, of course, we have the Alice Caterpillar ride, and then we
And
have
then you have the dark ride,
the dark ride, and then the spinning teacups. Right
which I
next
just found out that the dark ride is actually narrated by Catherine Beaumont. He
Yes.
also does the when you first get into the cab when you first get into the cab, it's like she narrates, oh, just put your, make sure that you have your feet tucked in and stuff like that. And I find that so magical that Catherine was able to continue her voice as Alice and use that as to her advantage, which
I know, because I will say Catherine is still with us
yep.
today. She is 80,
She has not aged a day. She still looks the exact same.
and she's still and she came out of retirement for a while, and she now voices Alice, and of course she went on 2 years later to do the voice of Wendy Darling in Peter Pan. But she has reprised her role for the theme parks, for the House of Mouse series that they did on Disney Channel.
Yep.
She did the voices for the Kingdom Hearts video game, where
Oh my
Alice is a major character.
God.
And of course, Beaumont was awarded a Disney Legend back in 1998. Well
Yep.
deserved queen. But yeah, Christian, you said
Yep.
this is one of your favorite Disney films. So what is it that appeals to you so
Oh
much
my
about Alice
God.
in Wonderland?
Funny enough, I was rewatching it again because I can't tell you how many times I've seen this film. Um, the one thing that I remember when I was a kid watching this film, you know those those corn chips that you get, the Tostitos,
Hmm.
the corn chips thing.
Yeah.
When I was watching the film, I would rewind the film, rewind, um, and have like a bowl of corn chips, and I would just be eating them as I was. I don't know why it just gives me that sense of like calmness. And funny enough, I was rewatching it last week, and I ordered tacos with chips and coke on the side. And I was watching the phone. I was like, as it was ending, I was like, let me just eat this while I'm watching. Well, let me just eat these chips as I'm watching the movie,
I love
just to
that.
revive that childhood essence of my childhood. But for me, what appeals, like you said, the color. I love how Walt was able to use Technicolor to his advantage with this film,
Yes.
as well as the voice cast. You have the incomparable Edwin. You have Sterling Holloway, who we know who has gone on to voice the amazing Caw, and of course, as as our comfort watches, we know we love Winnie the Pooh
Yeah,
as well. He's so recognizable as that, and he's also the stork in Dumbo.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, so many. And Verna Felton, she's voiced the three a couple of the elephants in Dumbo, and then as we all know her later as the fairy godmother in Cinderella, and Flora in Sleeping Beauty. Was it Flora? No, Flora. Yep, because she was the main one. Because I keep getting those confused. Um, but yeah, I feel what appeals to me. I love how episodic this film is. Like I said before, there's no plot to this film. So as I was rewatching it again, when we get to the end, it feels kind of, even though this predates it, because what I'm about to mention, this thing that I'm about to say was produced later, like 9 years later, The Twilight Zone. It feel like
Oh,
when Alice finally gets to the doorknob at the end of the film and she sees herself sleeping, it's like that you cannot tell me that that is like Twilight Zone, where it's like, whoa, like this is not happening. Like you better wake up or else I'm gonna die. You die in a dream?
I think who is it? Freddy Krueger would argue that yes, you can
Oh
die.
my God.
Sorry, but no, you're absolutely right. I didn't make that correlation with the Twilight Zone because what I love so much about this movie, I am a sucker for book to screen adaptations.
Mhm.
I love it whenever I get to see that happen. But I had a new, I watched this movie a lot as a kid because, like I said, I had the VHS tape. But when I was in college, I took children's literature as part of my English degree. Children's lit was
Same.
one of the classes I took.
Same here.
And my professor on the first day said that her favorite children's book was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And she said that we would be starting with, like, we started reading like baby books and like Dr. Seuss early readers. And then we went into reading Alice, and then we finished the semester with Coraline. Those were the different books that we
Oh,
read. And Coraline, of
those
course,
two
has,
films are very correlated, if you think
yes,
about it.
absolutely. And when we get to the modern era, we will absolutely review
Oh my
Coraline.
God, that's one of my favorite Halloween films to just put on during Halloween time.